So let's go ahead and give insertion sort a shot. You're going to hear edit on code sandbox. We're going to pop over to insertion sort. You can ignore that part. So you'll have the test.skip here again. Make sure you delete that and write your code. And your code is going to go here into insertion sort. And yeah, go ahead and get started. So we're going to pop into here. This is insertion sort.test.js. And we're going to have two for loops here. We're going to have an outer one that's going to loop over the array, starting with the first element in the array, right? Because the 0th element will be the sorted part of the array. And then we're going to have an inner loop that's going to go over it backwards to find out where it should go. So we're going to say for let I equal 0, or sorry, I equal 1. I is less than nums.length, I++. And I'm going to turn this off auto run, stop that. Okay. Then I'm going to say let number to insert, so that this is going to be like the number that we're going to be comparing, equals nums of I. And then we're going to say let j, because we're going to keep track of that number as well. Here we're going to say for let j equal, or sorry, not let, but just j equals I minus 1. Nums of j is greater than number to insert, and j is greater than or equal to 0. And then at the end of every loop, we're going to do j minus minus. Now again, there are multiple ways you can totally write this. This is just the way that I chose to do it. But here we're starting with j being 1 below the number that we're trying to insert. And then we're asking, is the number at that point, is that greater than number to insert? And is it greater than 0? And if not, then we're going to just move the number to the side, right? So we're going to say nums of j plus 1 is going to be equal to nums j, right? So this is actually, it's moving the numbers backwards in the array. As soon as that's true, then we've arrived at the point that the number is ready to be inserted. So we're going to say nums of j plus 1 equals number to insert. And again, if we arrive on the number where it's already in its correct place, this is just going to assign a number to itself, which is totally fine. No problems whatsoever. And then at the bottom, we just say return nums. That's it. So the outer loop, which is going forward from like assuming everything behind it, everything underneath I is going to be the sorted part of the array. And then we're going to have j, which is going to work backwards through the sorted part of the array to insert the next thing. So in theory, we should be able to remove test.skip down there and run our tests. And hopefully, if we go down to insertion sort, it looks like we are passing there. Pretty cool. So let's just go visualize that for funsies. I can save that. We're going to pop over to sort here. And where are we going to snapshot? We want to snapshot probably every time at the end of this, right? Now this isn't truly 10 comparisons going on. But you can kind of see here that you have here at the beginning of this, and we can also snapshot at the beginning as well, just so we can see where we start. Snapshot nums. So you can see here, this 3 right now represents kind of the sorted part of the list. 2 gets inserted before, then 0 at the beginning, and then 8 gets inserted at the right place, then 5, right? And so you can kind of see that insertion going on until eventually down here, we end up with something that's sorted. Or we can, do this for 50 or something like that. To see something a little bit bigger. But you can kind of see this blue demarcate the sorted part of the list from the unsorted part, right? So everything before this 49 right here in this particular row, that's all sorted, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 16, and then everything after that is the unsorted part. Pretty cool, right? And then down here at the bottom, you can see we end up with a fully sorted list. The idea is that you are moving numbers forward in the array. So 40 gets moved to 8. Let's just make this bigger and let's make it smaller. So here, let's look at like this line down here, the 0, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So we have 2s, that's going to be the next number inserted into the unsorted part of the array. Everything 9 to 0 here, this is sorted. What it's going to do on these iterations, in fact, let's just visualize it. I think this would work. If we just say, this is going to get a lot bigger, but snapshot nums. So you can kind of see here, now we start having these like redundant numbers, right? Like 8 here. It's moving piece by piece the array forward until eventually we create the correct space that down here after this for loop. Can I get rid of this and move this over a little bit? So that this is moving everything forward 1, right? So 8 moves to here, then it moves to here, then here, then here, right? Until eventually we arrive to this part of the code right here, line 18, which is actually just going to insert that number into the exact correct place. Does that make sense? So it's just, that's the actual part of the code that's moving numbers forward until we create the space for where we're going to insert our new number. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of abstract. Maybe it's better if I put it here. Yeah, again, you can see these numbers kind of like where they're duplicated and they're moving, right? So here, we've moved 5, 4. We've actually, the number we're trying to insert right now is what? 9? Or something like that. We've kind of pulled that number out of the array and we're waiting to insert that. That number is being held here in number to insert, and it's actually not being reflected in the array. That's why you see the duplication, until eventually we reinsert that number here on line 18. Cool. I feel good about that explanation.